Namaskar and welcome to StudyIQ. I am your friend Rahul Saigaunkar. The agenda for today's discussion is connected to international relations, where we are going to discuss about the Israel-Hamas war, which is currently going on in Gaza. In fact, we are continuously covering Israel-Hamas war on StudyIQ, both on Hindi channel and English channel. I hope you're following it. In today's interaction, we are going to analyze what role Russia could potentially play in this conflict. We are going to raise a question. Can Russia mediate between Israel and Hamas and bring about a ceasefire to the current hostilities? Why are we raising this question? Because in recent times, certain developments have taken place with reference to Russia. Statements have come from Russian President, Russian Foreign Ministry connected to the Israel-Hamas war. We are going to analyze those and examine, can Russia play a role of mediator? And if it plays, what would be the benefit for Russia? That is going to be the agenda of this discussion. To get to know all this information, stay with me till the very end. All right, let's begin. But before that, to all the UPSC civil services aspirants, StudyIQ's P2I program, Prelims to Interview Initiative, its batch 2 is about to close out. Today is last date. So you have a few hours to enroll yourself. Just visit our website www.studyiq.com. If you are planning to prepare for UPSC Civil Services examination, want to become IAS, IPS, then go there. You will find all the details of our courses. Remember, this is the most comprehensive program for UPSC Civil Services preparation, where we will be with you for prelims, means, interview. Throughout your journey, we'll be with you. Whatever year you're preparing, 2024, 25, 26, plan and take up the validity according to that. All right, enroll. I'll see you in the class. Right, let's begin our discussion. As I told you, the discussion is about Israel-Hamas war. You do know on October 7, Hamas extremist group, it attacked Israel and they took hostages. You do know Hamas currently is holding more than 200 hostages of Israel. Now, since then, Israel has retaliated and Israel has said that we are at war, and they have been continuously bombarding Gaza. Many civilians have also lost life. So in this current Israel versus Hamas war that is going on in Gaza Strip, many statements have come from the Russian side as well. Many different countries, many leaders have given statements, right, condemning the violence, etc. But Putin specifically, he had warned that the Israel-Hamas conflict, it could go beyond Gaza Strip and it could spread to Middle East. And somehow this prediction, I would say, has come true to at least some extent. Why am I telling this? Because in recent times, there have been incidences outside Gaza Strip as well. We have seen that the Iran-trained militia groups, especially in Syria, they attacked US establishment. Now, in retaliation, United States of America also responded through airstrikes. They went for airstrikes, especially in eastern Syria at multiple locations. Now, this was announced or briefing was given by the Pentagon on this. So to some extent, it is slowly and steadily spreading. What does this mean? This means we need to bring about a ceasefire and try to end this hostility as soon as possible. Now, in this light, we are going to analyze, can Russia do it? Now, why are we talking about this? Because if we look at Russia, it has been using a very neutral stance. It has not outrightly said anything about Israel, or it has not outrightly condemned Hamas. So if we look at the Russian response, it has maintained some sort of neutrality. Of course, when the incident happened on October 7, Vladimir Putin immediately he said that Israel has a right to defend itself. He did say Israel has a right to defend itself, but he also reiterated that they support the two-state formula. They want to solve this issue. So on one side, Vladimir Putin said that Israel has a right to defend. So if they are retaliating, it is very fine. But later on, he has also condemned the Gaza bombing. Now, they have said the hostilities have to stop. And in recent times, a very big development has occurred. Hamas delegation has traveled to Moscow recently, very recently, a delegation led by Mosa Abu Marzouk from Hamas. They are on Russian soil. And when this happened, the Israelis have condemned this. They have criticized this. Israel has summoned the Russian ambassador over Moscow hosting Hamas. Now, according to the Russian news agencies, Russian information, the meeting with Hamas was mainly due to Russian hostages. Now there are 8 Russian hostages which Hamas has taken, so they are negotiating that. Now again, this was suggested that they want to evacuate Russians as well as other foreign groups. So this clearly suggests that Russia is hosting Hamas and it is trying to negotiate the release of hostage. Now in that sense, if we look at Russian stance as well, Russian neutral stance, recently they also brought a resolution in United Nations Security Council, and this resolution, it called for humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza. They called for humanitarian ceasefire. Of course, this was vetoed by United States of America in United Nations Security Council. The reason for this veto was there was no mention of Hamas extremist group in the resolution. There was no mention of that. So you can see clearly that Russia is trying to maintain that neutrality. It is trying to play a role between the two parties. Now, because of this, we are raising a question: can Russia play a bigger role and mediate some sort of ceasefire between Israel and Hamas? Can it help release those hostages? Can it help stop these hostilities? The first question: does Russia have this ability? Now, if we dissect a little, we do understand that Russia has a good hold in Middle East. It's competing with the United States of America for that hold in Middle East. Now, when we talk about the Arab side, from the Arab side, we see Russia has good relations with Iran. In fact, from past few years, I would say from 2015, 16, continuously, Iran, Russia, China axis is continuously developing. So Russia's relation with Iran is no secret to anybody. And Iran is playing a bigger role. You do understand that the militia that attacked the US establishment, the militia or Hamas, it is getting support from Iran. Hezbollah is getting support from Iran. So Iran and Russia closeness does point towards that, right? That means Russia to some extent can sway Iran or has some hold or some sort of influence over Iran, we can say. Apart from this, Russia itself has a lot of influence in other areas as well. For example, Syria. From years now, Russia has their troops in Syria. In fact, Russia itself is fighting a war with Ukraine. You do know that, and they have suffered some excesses because of continued support from Western side to Ukraine. And due to it, some of the troops have been taken out from Syria. And many security experts do highlight that when Russians took back their troops from the Syria, there the other groups which are currently fighting, like the Hezbollah, the IRGC, the establishments have been transferred to them. So yes, they are playing a role in Middle East. So this is about their side towards Arabs. But if you look at Israel, the other party, we are talking about Israel versus Hamas, right? So Israel also has decent relations with Russia. Yes, we can say that Israel-Russia relations, they were not very cordial since 1949. In fact, they were quite hostile initially. Why? Because Israel more or less was a party in the US bloc. But since 1919, since disintegration of USSR, later on by a very prominent role played by Ariel Sharon, right? Ariel Sharon led to, from Israel, he led to some sort of a rapprochement between Israel and Russia. And today, Israel and Russia, they have good economic relations. In fact, BB, that is Benjamin Netanyahu, in 2019 elections, he called Vladimir Putin as a dear friend. Now, it is because of this where Russia can play a role of mediator, because it has cordial relations or it has decent relations with both the parties who are currently hostile with each other. And as I told you, they have hosted Hamas. The Hamas delegation was in Moscow. So they are talking with different players and somehow indicating that they are willing to play a role of the mediator, right? So they have the capability. Yes, they have the capability. Now question comes up, sir, what is in it for Russia? What is in it for Russia? Of course, a moral high ground that if Russia is able to bring ceasefire, then it would be good for entire humanity, yes. But for Russia itself, it will have a greater say, or it will play a greater role in global politics if they are able to mediate ceasefire. All right, if they are able to bring both the parties on the table, get Hamas to release the hostages, some sort of a temporary peace at least, then their role at global politics, especially in Middle East, will enhance for sure. And if Russia wants to play a role of mediator, then perhaps we can expect support from other parties who are generally neutral or who are other fence sitters. For instance, India, China, Brazil, other players, especially from BRICS, they might support Russia's role as a mediator. Of course, US might be against it, but as you can see, why Russia is playing this role of being neutral here, because it is continuously blaming United States for this situation. Now, Putin has clearly blamed that the Israel-Palestine issue that is currently going on, it can be blamed on United States of America. In fact, the Russian spokesperson Maria Zakharova, very recently, she highlighted that the Middle East quartet, it needs to resume. Now, Middle East quartet, it comprises of United Nations, it comprises of UN, USA, European Union representatives, and Russia. Now, this quartet, they want to resume. Now, you do know that United Nations Security Council and UNGA resolutions have come before continuously on Israel and Palestine. Many resolutions have come. Two-state formula is spoken about. And through this quartet, again, the Russian administration has highlighted that we support two-state formula. And what we want is, or what we suggest is, we want this quartet to be resumed. So discussion can take place and a two-state formula, two-state solution can be brought. So there is an indication that Russia is probably playing or wants to play a role of mediator as well. What would be the biggest gain for them if they are able to bring about a ceasefire? If they are able to bring some sort of a deal, then they will get a stronger foothold in the Middle East, which will change the scenario, change the picture of the geopolitics in the Middle Eastern region for sure. Now you're thinking, sir, yes, this sounds very fine. Russia has the capability, it has good relations with other parties. It also is giving indication that probably they want to mediate as well. But what if they fail? In fact, many security analysts, many policy experts do highlight that Russia's indication, what is going on right now, it should not be taken on face value. Because even if Russia fails, in fact, it would like to fail because it has many benefits. That is how it is a win-win for them. First of all, if they mediate at the global level, their I would say their influence will increase for sure. Even if they fail, it's like a win-win for them. Do you know why? Because right now, if Russia is able to bring all the attention on Israel-Hamas conflict at the Gaza Strip, then they are diverting complete attention from Ukraine. Right now, what Russia is doing, it is mostly irritating Volodymyr Zelensky, because Zelensky wants to keep all the focus on Ukraine because he wants continuous aid from Western allies. But Russia is diverting all the attention towards Gaza. We know that Russia and Ukraine are fighting a war from February 24, 2022. I remember the date because we have discussed that many times. Since that time, the war is going on. And in recent times, we have seen, Russia has seen many reversals. Ukraine is retaliating back because of the Western support. And Russia would love to divert the attention. Not just the attention. Remember, the media attention is one thing, but because of this conflict, not just the media attention, but the diplomatic attention, the resources, the military support, everything would be probably diverted from Ukraine. We are looking at so many news reports where Joe Biden is now requesting, or I would say he wants to work with US Congress to pass a funding bill, more than $100 billion of support towards Israel and Ukraine both. The question is, in a scenario, hypothetical scenario, if United States of America has to choose between, say, Ukraine and Israel, in a situation where Israel needs large help, Ukraine also needs large help, then who would they ultimately choose? I would say there would be no prizes or no awards for guessing it. They would probably choose Israel. And in that case, what would happen to Ukraine? It's like a win-win for Russia. And there is another positive for Russia as well. If the conflict goes on, if the conflict continues, and till now there has been no impact on the crude oil prices. Yes, there have been talks or discussion statements regarding different oil embargoes, right, from Iran, etc. But largely, crude oil prices have remained stagnant somewhere between $80 and $90 per barrel. But if the oil prices rise, imagine if the oil prices rise, who would be one of the beneficiaries? One of the beneficiaries greatly would be Russia. And you do know that for or 2 years almost now, for a year and a half now, Russian economy is in shambles. It is running on defense, and you do know defense and energy are two main pillars of Russian economy. And if oil prices rise, then Russia would be benefited for sure. So it's like a win-win situation for Russia currently if it plays a role of mediator, and even if it fails, that also would be quite beneficial for them. So let's wait and watch what happens. Although I said that probably Russian mediation would be supported by many players, especially from BRICS, but you might see some opposition or apprehension from United States of America for sure for Russian mediation. But let's see what exactly happens. Again, this is based on recent developments, conjectures, and speculation. We'll wait and watch what exactly happens, and let's hope that ceasefire comes very soon, because at the end of the day, it is large number of human lives that are being lost. If Russia brings it, I would say that would be a small cost which even US must be willing to pay, right? But let's wait and watch again what happens. Will Russia play a bigger role or not? Whenever there is an update, if at all there is any sort of news, we'll have a discussion on Study IQ for sure. Thank you for watching this video. Jai Hind.